the power of the owl bear.
Whoa!
Wow! Wait a minute, a druid can't turn into an owl bear.
Relax, it's just a movie.
Yeah, don't be a hater.
Rules are rules for a reason.
You're such a rules lawyer.
Damn.
Oh, damn.
Critical burn.
If you've been following the channel for a while, you're probably aware that I used to be a big fan of Dungeons & Dragons. One of my first videos on this channel was a satirical documentary on the Dungeons & Dragons brand history, a video that I'm not all too proud of today.
Dungeons & Dragons has been a big part of my life for as long as I can remember. I was around 12 when I was first introduced to its majesty. You see, the idea of fantasy anime was appealing to me, as I was in middle school and obviously a fully functional individual with lots of friends and social connections.
I wasn't of the opinion that I would be doing another video about D&D anytime soon, but Paramount Pictures decided to weave a wicked magic to revive that which was once dead and forgotten. Some of you may be too young to remember, but we already have a Dungeons & Dragons movie. And it's terrible. This natural one of a film released as a box office bomb in the year 2000 and has since been parodied to death, plus all around become the beaten horse everyone loves to hate. Now, Honor Among Thieves is a very similar movie, and I don't want you to think that I'm wanting this movie to bomb, but this isn't a movie for people who care about film. The plot follows the average D&D adventure party as they generally murder hobo their way around the world, trying to steal an ancient artifact from an evil wizard. We have the charismatic bard, played by Chris Pine, who wants to use the artifact to resurrect his dead wife, the terribly cast barbarian, Michelle Rodriguez, a comically incompetent sorcerer, played by Justice Smith, an adorable tiefling, played by Sophia Lillis, who was the only likable character in the film, and finally the traitorous politician, played by Hugh Grant. Tone has historically been one of the hardest things to pin down in Dungeons & Dragons. There are several different Dungeons & Dragons settings, each with their own tone. You have the harsh and brutal Dark Sun, the gothic horror of Ravenloft, the war-torn Eberron, and what has become the default D&D setting as of late, Forgotten Realms, specifically Faerun. Some of you may be familiar with Faerun, as it is where most modern Dungeons & Dragons properties take place. Video games like Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gates, and Sword Coast Legends. I would describe Faerun as the most Lord of the Rings out of all the settings, and it just so happens to be where the film decided to set itself. As such, the tone of the film is lighthearted and feels like something written by a child, but occasionally it takes a hard step away into genocide for ultimate power, wife murder, and political corruption. It's just so damn odd. I can't help but feel that there must have been a ton of producer influence or something. Nothing feels consistent, and what works about the film is more of being a commercial for existing Dungeons & Dragons properties. But to be fair, there is an argument to be made that this is very reminiscent of your average D&D campaign. Based purely on statistics, most people who run Dungeons & Dragons games are going to be incompetent writers that pull the party in whatever direction leads to conflict, with a sprinkling of the wife murder or the genocide or what have you. But when you see it in action on the big screen, it just feels very contrived. Motivations feel flimsy, and there were several moments in the film where I feel like any sane individual would have just walked away. But the characters' motivational contrivances are generally hand-waved in the same way that they are in real-life campaigns, and it makes the characters in the film come off as crazy people. The film's effects were some of the worst I've ever seen in my life, and I do not say that lightly. The first Harry Potter film, Sorcerer's Stone, had better effects than this movie. The only monster in the film that looked anywhere near good was the gelatinous cube, and I'm 99% certain that that is because it's a big prosthetic cube of jelly. The Displacer Beast looked terrible, the dragon was an embarrassment, and entire scenes were so obviously shot on a green screen with no regard for how realistic or immersive that they would look in the finished product. Take a shot for every time a scene takes place on a green screen set. You'll die of alcohol poisoning within the hour. At the end of the day, I can forgive a lot of this if the movie was trying something new. If it felt inspired anyway, or if I thought to myself even a single time, oh, I didn't expect that, or I've never seen that before, I could at least say that they tried something that they obviously felt passionate about and were inspired to make. But you know what this movie is like, or better yet, what it wants to be like? It wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie wants so badly to be a Marvel film that it's bending over backwards to shower itself in Marvel influence. Characters are constantly quipping at one another, having small little comedic asides, and sometimes entire scenes are axed in favor of a joke. But again, with the tone of the film flipping and flopping around, it never works. I'll give you an example. At one point in the film, the characters are traveling through the Underdark and come across a trapped bridge.
The bridge is protected by an ancient trap. We must not trigger the mechanism.
I may have triggered the mechanism.
Everybody laugh. Roll on snare drum. Curtains.
Worse yet, they end up solving the issue by introducing a wand of portals that has never been seen or used before in the film. One of the characters just happens to be carrying it in their bag. I can't believe that this is where Dungeons & Dragons is at now. Maybe at some point we'll get a good D&D movie, but this isn't it. I'm giving Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves a 2 out of 10. Horrible. I would literally rather watch paint dry. Special thanks to our producers Anthony Wumbo Biffman, John Foreman, and Zachary Coroner. Happy April Fool's Day. I'll see you guys next time.